2 years ago, my dad and I built this pond for the back garden. Over the course of a weekend, we dug out a hole, put in the preformed base and filled it up, adding some marginal and aquatic plants like iris, marsh marigold and a red water lily. The aim was to produce a beautiful living water feature that is aesthetically pleasing and serves an important function for wildlife. It looked good at the time, but I couldn't wait to add some fish and see how our creation grew over the spring and summer. This is what's happened at the back garden pond since then. 1 month after adding water and allowing the nitrogen cycle to stabilise, we added 6 shabunking goldfish, 1 comet and 2 regular old goldfish for my mum. These fish have awesome patterns but don't grow nearly as large as koi, making them perfect for our pond. I should address that although these are not the most conducive animals for encouraging wildlife into the pond, we need to keep in mind that this pond is serving 2 functions: back garden leisure and nature contributions. More on that later. Initially, the fish were skittish and quickly hid as soon as anyone approached the pond. The lack of plant cover and pond maturity will contribute to this behaviour, so I was looking forward to seeing the pond grow in and their behaviour change, as well as building trust with them through feeding and working around the pond. It was a cold spring, but eventually the first plants started showing signs of growth, sending roots out into the water and increasing foliage content. Water hawthorn, with its beautiful white flowers, was really good at providing the fish early season cover, sending lots of foliage out long before the lily got going. I would highly recommend this in the UK as an early spring, late summer aquatic plant. As the first plants started growing and the fish got more used to the environment, their confidence and personalities grew too, soon recognising that anyone approaching the pond would likely mean feeding time. As well as this, the first visitors started turning up, such as a toad and damselfly, which decided to stop off for a few days. So this is probably 2 months into the pond build and it's looking really nice at the moment. It's the 1st of May today and all the plants are settling in really nicely. The fish are becoming more and more active and less scared when I approach them, and we're just going to give them a little feed right now. This was one of the first main enjoyments of the pond for me. Although still relatively bare, the fish colours and charisma, coupled with the occasional wildlife sighting, provided life and energy to the pond in these early cold months. As the weather started slowly heating and the days grew longer, ever more plant growth was becoming apparent. The marginal pond plant sent shoots for the sky and roots into the water, creating a vast network of underwater flora for the fish to enjoy and swim amongst. The water forget-me-not, water mint, marsh marigold and yellow iris all took off at the start of April and have not stopped since, providing all sorts of beautiful colours, textures and smells to the pond's personality. One plant that took its time was the water lily. These plants tend to get going once the water reaches stable temperatures of about 15 degrees, and the cold spring had severely impacted our lily's first growing year. Nonetheless, in early May the first shoot started to appear, and in a matter of a few days we had our first leaf breaching the surface. From this point it seems as though a new leaf is being sent out every day, and the improvement in plant growth from May onwards was significant. It hasn't been totally smooth sailing, and with the increased sunlight and heat, nuisance algae growth took hold, with blanket weed taking advantage of the environmental conditions. This is easily maintained though, and should reside as the pond ages, becomes balanced and kicks its new pond syndrome. It was in June and July when the pond and the rest of the garden really went into full bloom. The plant growth during these months was unbelievable and soon covered about 3/4 of the pond's surface. Some might think it looks a bit messy, but it's perfect for wildlife, mimicking nature's unkempt appearance and providing shelter for countless species. During this period, the plants and algae battled for nutrients, and thankfully the plants came out largely on top. This didn't mean either my dad or I weren't taking out large amounts of hair algae every few days, but if anything this came as a positive, allowing us to spend time with the fish and assess their health and the health of the pond. Watching the fish move around the water in their elegance and beauty is really enjoyable sitting in the garden, and I would definitely encourage anyone with a back garden to create a pond. I have seen frogs, toads, damselfly, and other various pollinating insects visit the pond. As mentioned earlier, the presence of goldfish does mean that the wildlife that visits and can use the pond is restricted. Goldfish are opportunistic omnivores and will eat almost anything, including tadpoles and various native plants and insects of all life stages. However, I witnessed plenty of wildlife at the pond. Regardless of this, I would encourage someone to think about the function of their pond and wishes for the future. It's easy to put goldfish in later and much harder to take them out. I think the success of wildlife we saw in the pond is down to some small additions we made, like the slate at the bottom providing countless hiding spots for small invertebrates, or raising the lily planter pot, allowing frogs and toads to shelter beneath, and selecting native flowering plants to benefit the insect populations and the density of plant root growth this provides, which serves as a vital shelter from fish and other predators, connecting various habitats and creating stops on the wildlife highways that native species use. It was in the pond's second year that everything seemed to flourish to a different level. Having had a year to settle in and mature, the lily generated many beautiful flowers throughout the season. The plants bloomed with countless flowers, and the pond boomed with wildlife. It was also in this second year that I noticed a visitor to the pond, a grass snake. The reason this is such a big deal for me is because I built this pond for not only aesthetic purposes, but to create a small ecosystem that wildlife can use and access. This grass snake, which I have never seen in my garden, represents the fact of full ecosystem ecology, which can sustain, at least for a while, a top predator, every step of which regulates the other in the chain of life and death. Overall, the pond has been a great success so far. The fish love their home and have grown substantially since we put them in 2 years ago. Sitting by the pond and absorbing the sights and sounds on a summer's evening is really the dream I had in mind, all while providing an excellent natural resource.